Good morning, good morning. It is 6:30 a.m. If you did not wake up early this morning, I just encourage you to start putting that into practice. And because you're missing out on some of God's greatest work. Let me show you right now. Look at the skies. Yeah, girl. Yeah, run. That's right. Look at this. It's just so beautiful, It takes sacrifice to be able to enjoy this, So, anyways, I'll be back. I got some stuff to do, but I will come back when it's all done. Alright, so we're done with our morning activities, and recently I have been running with this weighted vest. It's 12 pounds, right? And I'm not doing run. I'm doing a jog run, okay? Calm down. We're not at athlete level yet. It takes time, right? Let me tell you, running with a 12-pound weighted vest, it adds a little something. It adds a little something on this, And I was reflecting this morning. As I was doing the run, right? And I was reflecting on just how this 12-pound vest and walking in it and running in it, right? For a total of 3 miles, right? Because where I'm coming from, doing that, and going back, right? And also doing some exercises in between, right? When I'm done my run, knocking out some squats, some push-ups, some calf raises, whatnot, stretches, right? All with the weighted vest on. And I think to myself, this is still nothing in comparison to what the Lord Jesus endured. Naked, beaten, carrying a 300-pound cross. And so just let that sink in. He came. I don't think a lot of people really understand. Yesterday I met this fellow, right? And his girl, right? We're watching the sunset, right? This girl is looking at the river, right? And she's mistakenly calling New Jersey Queens. Honest mistake, who knows? And I hear the conversation going on, right? And I'm like, no, that's New Jersey, right? And he's like, see, I don't know what this girl's talking about. She be da da da. And I'm like, don't put her down. And I'm like, don't put her down like that. He goes, I'm not putting her down, but she be saying stuff, and it be confusing me. And I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. You're the man. And I'm like, he goes and he quotes the worst relationship and the worst example of a man. He's like, yeah, because that scene in Game of Thrones, right? Where that guy, he goes, the things you do for love, and he pushes that kid out the window. And I'm like, you're talking about the incestuous relationship? That's the example you want to give right now? And I'm like, I'll give you a better example of a man, a show you can watch. He goes, okay, yeah. And I'm like, what about The Chosen? And then he goes, oh, that show about Jesus. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should be following his example, because then you wouldn't be so confused. You know, he is God after all. And I'm not like cutting him up on this video, but it's just like how, and he's like, yeah, I follow Jesus, and he proceeds to show me like a tattoo on his arm of Jesus. And I'm just like, that don't mean anything. That does not mean that does not mean anything, you know? Like, he's like, yeah, I follow Jesus. I'm like, there's no fruit. Like, I didn't tell him this, right? But I saw the tattoo and I just like continue to focus on what I was doing. But it's just like, how many people claim to follow Jesus and claim to know Jesus and don't actually actually surrender to his sanctification, to his discipleship, especially after everything. Like, you respect Jesus enough to get him tattooed on your arm, but you don't respect him enough to actually follow him. You don't respect, like, and like for people who don't have Jesus tattooed on their body or whatever in general, but they just claim him in some kind of way, right? Because that too is just a way to claim, right? But he's clearly dating a woman that claims to confuse him, right? So it's like, how many of y'all who claim the Lord don't actually follow him, and then you wonder why you're so confused? Like, yes, of course, when you're in the Lord, there is a confusing time, right? Because he's trying to sanctify you, prune the ugly, prune the wicked out of you, right? So it's just like, you really got to stay in the Word, you know, and allow that process to just take place in you, you know? But like, aside from that, like, if you claim to follow Jesus and you're not in the Word, and you're not actually surrendering to him, and you're not actually, you know, and you're just going to church, going through the motions, right? And you're not really like pressing in, right? And you're like, why am I so confused all the time? It's like, because you're not actually walking this thing out, you know? Like, imagine the amount of pressing into obedience that Jesus had to choose to endure, because he, in his human flesh, right, said, Father, take this cup away from me, you know? Like, his humanness did not want to do the will of God, because he knew that the suffering would be excruciating. He knew that it was something that he did not want to experience. But how did he end that sentence? He said, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. Right? And surrendering, pressing in, and staying alive throughout all the suffering, throughout all the whippings, throughout all the lashings, throughout all the beatings, throughout all of that. To then walk, what was it, like at least a mile with a 300-pound cross. This 12-pound vest, healthy, you know, it's literally because of his grace. It's literally because of his sacrifice that I can do this. You know, that I can do this activity and dedicate it to him because of what he endured for me to even be here. To be able to speak and to be able to share his glory, to be able to share his goodness in the world. You know, to be able to actually follow him, to actually surrender to him, and to give my life to him. You know, this isn't some like patty cake dance. You know, like there's a real battle in this world between demonic and holy. You know, and you need to really choose what side you want to be on. You know, because there's a destination for both sides. And if you think that you're walking holy, because the Lord knows your secrets. I'm going to finish that sentence. I pray this blesses you. I pray this motivates you and disciples you into really surrendering your life to the Lord in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.